Hello and welcome everyone to round 9 of the PSGL F4 Championship in season 33. We are in Budapest, the Hungary, and I hope it's going to be a very exciting race here tonight. My name is Felix, I'm going to be your commentator for tonight's race. Sadly, Jake is missing, he won't be able to take part. He might join the commentary later on though. So apologies if I, at some places here and there, maybe have to go a bit silent, because talking 1.5 hours straight is not always all too easy. Obviously, last week we had the race in Mexico, where a lot of things were going on, especially towards the end of the race, and we had a very exciting fight going on, but in the end it was Daniel, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it was Daniel who took the race win with him, and Slinky taking second place at the fastest lap with him. Nico finished in third, and Kart Racer still managed to gain some points on his closest rival Daniele, who had a bit of a bad weekend, or a bit of a bad Monday evening, let's rather say, as he was struggling in qualifying and had to do a bit of damage limitation in the race. Only managed to get away with 3 points in the end, while Kart Racer collected 8 in 4th place. That got the gap up to 23 points, and with 3 rounds remaining, it's now or never for Daniele and Daniel as well, who's not too far behind Daniele, to gain some points back on Kart Racer. I don't know if he's back in the lobby, because he did leave the session, and if I look at it right now, Daniele and Daniel are both here, so that is a big chance for them. But I think Kart Racer, no, he's still in the pit lane, so it might actually be him lagging out, but now he has rejoined, and that is what we want to see, because we want to have a clean and fair fight, as Slinky is about to be the second driver to cross the line, as Freddy says the provisional pole time, which gets immediately beaten by Slinky by 2.5 tenths. Rodas slots in between, and Stefan only 21 thousandths of a second off on his first lap. And those couple of minutes that Kart Racer has missed now at the start of this quali session might cost him dearly, because obviously it might be one less lap time that he will be able to set. He is still in his pit garage, so it might take him some time to put on the setup, then come out, so he might have one less lap than everyone else. Francesco takes provisional pole, which immediately gets beaten by Daniele. Let's see if Daniel has anything to say against that. Currently without a lap time set, coming around the final sector, and we all know, a bit of a twitchy moment coming out of the penultimate corner there. But has it cost him too much lap time as he comes across the line? It is only 7th, and I'm pretty sure he would have been at least in P5 if he wouldn't have made that mistake coming out of the penultimate corner. And we see that Lynx is in the grass in the middle sector. Marcel also in the middle sector, but he is not in the grass. He is on a fast lap. It's going to be his first lap of the evening as well, as I trickily try and get the track map up, because I didn't do so before the race, sadly. But yeah, Marcel now on his way around the final corner. Let's see if he can put his Aston Martin a bit further up the grid than 17th. It's 11th, not the best of lap time, but at least in front of some guys like Provatog, Sabi and Ruti, who has not set a proper lap so far, but he has just started his new one. Or has he? I don't think he has, because he's got very little ERS. But here we see Nico coming around turn 14. Let's see what he can do on his first lap of the evening. It's P6 in front of Daniel, and yeah, P6, solid way to start the session in terms of lap times. And now we can see that Kart Racer is on his way to set his first lap after he lagged out straight away. but luckily he's back inside his cockpit. .27.1 and a spin right through turn 4. Lucky to keep it out the wall there, but it looks like he might be running a very aggressive setup, because you saw the car just lost grip suddenly on the rear tires and it spun the car around at quite a high speed, so that must have been scary for kart race, and it's a far from ideal start to his quali session. First legging out, not having enough time to go with the other guys, and now it's definitely going to be only 2 laps able to set for our current championship leader, because I think he will dive into the pits right now, and he does. So not the best way to start his evening here in Hungary. Lagging out, and then the spin through turn 4. And no lap time set. Fleddy comes across the line to probably now start his lap. Yes, he does. And let's see where he can go from here. Rodas also starting his lap. Slinky has also just started his lap. Everyone's now on their second run. Let's see what Fleddy can do, as he's got a lot of clean air in front of him. Looks like Jogo Silva. Sorry, that was Rodas, who I saw is not getting held up, which is good to see by Stefan and the AlphaTauri, which might not be Daniel, it's Sabi actually. And we can see that Fleddy now coming through the middle sector through turns 6 and 7, and then the very twisty middle sector through the S section, with one of the fastest parts around this track. Easy to invalidate on the exit here, but he does improve by a 10 on his delta time, coming out of turn 11 and now 12 and into the 2 hairpins of turns 13 and 14. Very twisty track, very difficult to overtake if the driver ahead does not make a mistake. Let's see where Fleddy goes. Qualifying really important here, and he puts his Aston Martin on the second row of the grid. Let's see what Rodas can do as he comes across the line, as he becomes the new provisional pole sitter. 100 of a second ahead of Danieli. See where, I think that is Sabi coming across the line, not able to improve all too much, but I think he has abandoned his lap time as well. See, Marcel comes around the final corner to now also start his lap, and Slash is taking a bit of a different approach at the middle sector. If I look at it, that's Nico, that's not Nico, that is Liam, go by Stefan with a new purpose first sector, more than 1.5 tenths quicker than his current best. And those 1.5 tenths would nearly bring him up into the front row of the grid. And let's see if he can hold on to that kind of pace that he has shown in that first sector now, as he comes through turns 10 and now 11. He throws the car into that right-hander and he improves even more. Stefan on a very good run here to take provisional pole with 8 minutes to go. Just 2 corners separating him from a new fastest lap of the session. Let's see where he ends up. If he nails that last sector, he might be the provisional pole sitter for now, and he is the new pole sitter at the minute. Slightly lost some time in the final sector there, but 0.5 tenth ahead of Rodas. But Danieli on his way to respond to that by a bit of an improvement in the first sector. Francesco just started his lap. Where is Daniel? He's still on an out lap. And Danieli now with the chance to fight back here in the middle sector. Very close to invalidating, but you need to be on the limit to be quick, and he's done that, but slightly misses the apex on the inside here, and it has cost him some time. But he's still got one final sector to go where he can try and find even more time if he's able to, through turn 13 and then all the way to the outside to get a gut run through turn 14, get a good exit. Nico sets in the new fastest lap of the session. There goes Daniele, and he can't beat it. Just half a tenth off at the moment. Both ahead of Stefan. Liam dives into 5th place. Good lap from him. Francesco hasn't validated. Slinky coming around the final corner now. Let's see. He has just started a lap, sorry. And let's see what Daniel can do. Also improving in the first sector, and he needs a big improvement. Currently only down in 11th place, and that would not be a satisfying qualifying session for him, especially around here, where it's so difficult to overtake on pure pace. And without the help of any mistakes from the drivers around you. But there goes Daniel then at the end of the second sector. He has lost some time. Does not look good, but remember, he had that little moment through turn 13, which is coming up now, and that might have cost him a lot of lap time. Let's see where he ends up, and he once again has his moment and immediately dives into the pit lane. It looks like that turn 13 is a real spot for some trouble here for Daniel, and that has cost him a run on his second lap. Let's see where Kart Racer ends up. He has put his Alfa Romeo inside the top 5. Looks like his first lap was enough to do so. Rodas just starting another lap now, as the top 3 are all within 1/10 of a second and all have decided to go into the pits. Let's see, is Francesco out on a lap? I think he is. Let's see what the middle sector split says. 1.5 tenths quicker. That might bring him up quite a while and might be bringing him even onto the front row of the grid if he nails this third sector. A bit wide, but that is okay if we get a good exit here out of turn 13 into 14 all the way to the outside, and then keep it tighted to get a good exit. And there he comes. What is it going to be? Is it going to be an improvement? It is, but it's not enough to put his McLaren on the front row. Currently P4, but not even a tenth of the pole position time. Slinky also has just started another run. It's a bit of an odd timing, if I'm honest, because he's really going to have to push at the end of this lap to make it back to the pits and then be able to set another lap time. Good stuff from Slash there, that he lets him go through without any problems. Ruti also has not been able to set a lap time so far. I actually don't know if he has any penalties. I'd need to check that, but let's first see where Slinky goes. A 2/10 improvement. He is a contender for that pole position as well. Fleddy just jumped into P7. And let's see where Slinky ends up. Through turn 13, and then the last corner goes a bit wider than Francesco did, his teammate, but he comes across the line. What is it going to be? Slinky is on to provisional pole. And if he has enough time to go around an entire lap of the Hungaroring and then put in a fresh set of softs and then go out again to set another lap, he might be in contention for that pole position in that final shootout. But he's not gonna have that much time, if I'm honest. They need to push a bit more, and he does, in order to make it back to the pits in time. Fleddy has invalidated, but he had set his lap before. See, is Slash out on a lap? I think he is. Yes, coming through turns 6 and 7 here. Doesn't right the curve all too much on the inside. Slightly misses the apex here, but manages to still keep the car in a quite tidy rhythm. But then he goes onto the curb on the outside, and that is all that good work done within a split second. Just a little too wide on the entry into turn 11. And that has cost him this run. Marcel, is he going to set his final lap now? I think he is. Yes, and I think he's going to be the first one to do so. Or it's Ruti call it. Yeah, Ruti is still out on a lap. Slash has decided to call it a day and retire, so it's going to be a maximum of P11 for the Haas driver. Marcel, on the other hand, has still got a chance to improve his starting position for tonight's race. which would be important because P13 is not really a great place to start in Hungary. But let's see where he will end up. We're about to look at the top right for the first sector split, and it is a big improvement, nearly 0.2 of a second in the first sector, and if he can keep that up, it might bring him well inside the top 10 here. But we saw drivers were making mistakes already, and it looked a bit wide into turn 6 there, but still he's got 2 more sectors to compensate that little mistake he made. And let's see what the second sector split says, and it says he's improving by nearly 4/10, so a good lap so far from him. Can he maybe even put his car inside the top 5 if he nails this final 2 corners? And he doesn't! He spins around on the exit of turn 13, and we saw that with Kart Racer twice. And that is it for Marcel, most likely. Francesco starting his final lap now. Nico, is he on a lap? No, he's not. Let's see, Ruti has improved quite a lot, up to P6 for him. Link's out on a lap. Sabi is not. Daniel is... Nope, neither is Daniel. Liam has spun out of turn 1. That's not a good way to start your lap time. Diogo Silva, though, is still going on his fast lap. Just did a purple middle sector. Hopefully he doesn't get held up by the AlphaTauri driver ahead. That might be Daniel, actually. It looks like it was all fine. Where does Diogo Silva end up? He's jumping up to P7, straight ahead of his teammate. See if Kart Racer... Did Kart Racer just do his lap? Yes, he did. And it is only P4 for the championship leader. And he won't be able to set another lap time just because he doesn't have any battery charge remaining. Let's see, is Slinky still out on a lap? No, he's just started. Francesco is though, and he's slightly improving. Is he able to challenge for pole position? It's gonna be the last lap that he does in this session, and it's only P2. 17 thousandths of a second missing to his teammate. We've got yeah, that is the Alfa Romeo of Ruti, but he is not setting another lap. Here comes Liam though. Liam not on a lap as well. I think he mistimed it because he's got a lot of spare energy left that he could have used. Rodas though, trying to get back ahead of his teammate who just jumped in front of him a couple of seconds ago. Where does Rodas end up? Back ahead of his teammate, and for good measure ahead of Ruti as well. Fleddy does not improve anymore. There goes Daniele with the new pole position time. The question is now for Slinky, can he be there? Currently 83 thousandths of a second up on his fastest lap so far. He would need a bit more than that in order to take pole position in Hungary here. Out of turn 13 and now into turn 14, there's a I think there was an Alfa Romeo of Kart Racer, and there is a car in the middle of the track, but where does he end up? He does not improve. He lost time in the final sector, and it's going to be Daniele on pole. Daniel only manages P9, and Daniele has the chance to gain some points back on Kart Race here tonight. It's a long race ahead, but it's a good way to start with. P1 and pole position for Daniele. Slinky ends up in P2 in the end. Just that tiny margin in the end that was missing in the middle sector, but then he all lost it in the final one. So it's pole position for Daniele ahead of both of the McLaren. Slinky ahead of Francesco. Then we've got Nico in P4 ahead of our championship leader Kart Racer, who only managed to qualify in P5, but we know how strong he is in the race this season. Stefan with a good P6 here. Rodas in P7. Ruti would start from 8th. Daniel from 9th. And Diogo Silva rounds of the top 10. But it was not the best of quali sessions for Daniel. I mean, he had the advantage. He still would like to be in that championship fight. He had the advantage against Kart Racer due to the fact that Kart Racer lagged out and then spun on his opening attempt, but he still wasn't able to manage. He wasn't able to use that little problem that Kart Racer has had And that is not what you need if you want to stay in a championship fight and gain a point on someone. As we are waiting for the lights to come on, only 20 seconds left until the start of this race. It's a bit overcast, so we might see some rain throughout this race, but it will start in the dry conditions at least. But let's keep an eye on the skies. There might be some rain on the way, but we will have to wait and see. And we are waiting for the lights to come on as we are up to 5 red lights in Hungary, and we are underway. Looks like it's a better start from Slinky at the getaway, but it looks like he's slightly struggling for grip as Nico's already trying to get past on the inside. They're 3 wide coming into turn 1. There goes Nico down the inside a bit too late on the brakes maybe, and that gives Slinky the chance to maybe take the place back against the Ferrari. He's got the outside line for turn 2 though, and he has to defend. He's got the long way around. He will have the inside for the next corner, but I think he's gone too wide, and now he has to defend himself as Francesco lost more places as well. Kart Racer already up into P4, and he might turn that into P3. Yes, he has. All the way from P5 up to P3. That was a really good start from our championship leader. So it's Daniele from Nico from Kart Racer and then Slinky. As it looked immediately like Slinky had the better getaway, but then suddenly he was struggling for grip, which allowed Daniele to easily lead the way into turn 1. And I thought for a second there that Nico might have outbraked himself. Slinky probably with some traction problems out of turn 1. That's why he couldn't make the switchback work. But both McLarens have just gone backwards on this opening lap on the start here. Let's see. They're side by side in between Daniel and Ruti. And Ruti is round 12. Not a great way for the Alfa Romeo driver's teammate. Gained 2 positions, and Ruti has just completely dropped down all the way into last as Daniele has already opened up the gap to 1.2 seconds. Good start from him. And Nico has got the championship leader right in behind, really close. Stefan in that McLaren sandwich. Very interesting. Let's see if anyone has opted to go for the medium tyres. Nope. But Lynx and Marcel had to pit, and they have now gone onto the medium. Slinky once again very wide as Stefan completely loses the rear end and loses the place to Francesco as well, who uses that and says, thank you very much, that was an easy overtake, I will take that. Out of turn 3 the Mercedes driver lost the rear end. And let's see if anyone has gained massive amounts of places. Obviously Ruti has lost a couple, but in the midfield not too many places gained. Good stuff from Sabi from P16 all the way up to P13. Slash gained 2 positions. And apart from that, the most stuff that happened was at the front, with both McLarens dropping 2 positions and Nico and Kart Racer both gaining 2 positions. Was important for Kart Racer as the championship leader to lose as little points as possible as Daniele pulls away. Already opened up the gap to 1.5 seconds, so it looks like Daniele has got some really good pace in this race. DRS now enabled. We can see in the background Freddy is trying to defend desperately, and he's going to the inside against Diogo Silva. On the outside we also have Daniel, and it looks like yes, Martin has caught the curve. Stefan is round out of turn 1. I don't know what happened there, but Freddy, instead of only losing 1, he's lost 2 positions. Diogo Silva basically is where he was before they started battling, and Daniel did a great job at going around the outside of both of them and taking P7 with it. Marcel picks up a penalty for speeding into the pit lane. That's his second pit stop, might be retiring then. But Stefan, we saw him struggling for grip through turn 3, and now he's spun out of turn 1. And Francesco's really close to his teammate. I wonder if there's anything in terms of team orders going on in the background maybe in a couple of laps time, because I feel like Francesco would be able to go a little bit quicker than his teammate at the moment. as his teammate loses the rear end. What is going on in this race? Every driver seems to be struggling more or less with grip, apart from Daniele, who's feeling really comfortable there up front in P1 with his 1.3 second gap, which has gone down slightly due to the fact that Nico has just set a new fastest lap of this race. But Slinky made it very easy for his teammate. Probably the smartest way to do it was just by mistake or just on the straight, but the mistake has done the job as well and has given him DRS as well. So maybe a bit of a tactical decision, but I kind of doubt that you would purposely lose the rear end in order to get some DRS. As like I said, overtakes will probably happen more due to mistakes being made by individual drivers, like we saw with Francesco here, like we saw with Stefan earlier. And Francesco's already building up that gap to his teammate Slinky, who seems to be a little bit struggling at the moment and forming a big train all the way down to P14. As Slinky also picks up a penalty on lap 4. That is way too soon to do something like that. Kart Racer slightly lost the rear end there. Nearly lost the DRS with that, but he's still only just inside that window. Daniele and Nico are battling for the fastest lap. And there goes Francesco. Now, the first time in this race he's had clean air. He sets the new fastest lap of the evening. Kart Racer's really being held in this game with the top two due to the fact that he's got the DRS, which Nico hasn't, but he's desperately fighting to get it. As we look at his rear wing, to only see that Kart Racer is not far by any means. If Nico makes a mistake, Kart Racer will be there to use it. But I feel like Nico's got some really good pace in this race. But so has Daniele. 1.1 second gap. It used to be 1.5. Has gone down slightly. As Marcel just picked up the new fastest lap of this race. Nico is only just outside that 1 second window. The detection point is still coming up though, and it's back to 1.1. So he won't get the DRS. Kart Racer was inside that 1 second window, so he will have the rear wing opened. Francesco is desperately trying to reopen that DRS window, and it looks like Rodas is trying to get closer in order to overtake. Slinky was got a penalty, but he wasn't able to do so just yet. Still a lot of time in this race, 30 laps still remaining. So it's no use burning off your tires, burning off your energy for one overtake so early on in this race. There's going to be one in the first 10 laps, but it might be lost, as those guys are all really close to each other. All the way down to P40, that train is going strong. But there's a bit of a gap in between Liam and Sabi right now, and Sabi has just lost the DRS window, but it looks like Liam is struggling to keep up with those guys ahead as well. Rodas goes really wide out of turn 11, and let's see if Nico, keep an eye on that gap in between Nico and Daniele, but Nico was once again just outside the DRS window, if I've seen it correctly. Yes, the rear wing stays closed, but it's only going to be a matter of time until Daniele has to look in his rear view mirrors to see a Ferrari with an opened rear wing coming closer and closer. Francesco also gained another 2/10 on the previous lap. Kart Racer also really close to Nico now, so it's getting a bit tighter here up front. But look at the gap they've already built up. Slinky can't keep up at all, even though he's got the 3 second time penalty. He has not been able to close that gap back down. and he's losing with each and every lap, forming that big train. But where Ruti is also struggling a little to keep in touch with Provatux ahead in P13. And Nico's had to back off a little bit. Looks like Daniele is managing his battery charge pretty well, and Nico just lost 6 tenths on the previous lap to Daniele, and has lost some time with that to Kart Racer as well. Francesco also has been able to attack so much that he's now within that 1 second window, and he knows where he started this race in, and he knows where he wants to end up on that top step of the podium, and it looks like he has got some solid pace. I mean, you wouldn't catch up 2 seconds within a matter of a couple of laps without being quick, but overtaking and closing up are 2 whole different things in Formula 1, and especially around a track like Hungary, the difference is even more significant. Slinky is really struggling for pace at the minute. I mean, he is controlling his battery charge as well, but Rodas should maybe slowly try and get past that McLaren, because that train is losing more and more time to that top group, and if he wants to have a chance at a podium, then he should probably try and get past Slinky here if he feels like he has the pace. But at the moment in that train, not much is going on, as Daniele is controlling his own pace. He's comfortably in the lead, and that lead has been growing for the past 2 or 3 laps now, which obviously makes you a lot more comfortable rather than seeing the driver behind in the rear view mirror at all times. As Liam just picked up a penalty, which is not good, especially if you're in that group. But it is a very typical Hungary race at the moment. Just more or less no real opportunities for an overtake. But maybe Daniel now. Daniel is really close to the rear of Rodas, and he loses the rear end just when he couldn't afford it if he wanted to make an overtake. You could see there was a bit of weaving going on. Lynx picks up a penalty, and now instead of looking at the car ahead, oh, and we've got a spin from Ruti once again. Remember, he was on the opening lap, the one that made contact, which I can't remember who it was with. But he spun around, which dropped him down all the way into last place on the opening lap, as Ruti, for good measure, also picks up his first penalty of the evening. And it seems like Kart Racer had to back off a little bit, and maybe he comes under pressure now from Francesco, who's using his battery charge, and he's pulling to the inside, maybe for an overtake into turn 1. There he goes on the championship leader, Francesco, on the inside, coming all the way down into turn 2. They're still side by side, but now there is the virtual safety car out on track, and that completely saved Kart Racer here, because that would have been very tricky to defend. Very unfortunate for Francesco, who has used his battery charge in order to get past. And now it was for nothing because the gap, because he wasn't able to complete the overtake attempt. So get a bit closer now though, if he wants to be close enough at the restart. But you just saw the danger of those trains there. It's just one bad lap, one bad exit, and suddenly the driver behind is very close and you're at risk of getting overtaken. VSC is still out. As the VSC has come in now, and Francesco is close, and Francesco has got the rear wing open. Kart Racer hasn't. Brakes late. If he gets a good exit, he will have the DRS. Kart Racer won't. And maybe he will be able to make a move. He's not using his overtake button on the second straight though. And there's a lot of fighting going on further down the field. There goes Daniel on Rodas, and it looks like he has got the position. Meanwhile, Diogo Silva has gone past. Another one, and there goes Rodas. He completely outbrakes himself and bombs into the side of Daniel. Daniel will not be happy with that at all. Hopefully he hasn't picked up any damage with that, but that was way too aggressive from Rodas. Completely outbraked himself and went into the side of Daniel's AlphaTauri, which cost Daniel a place once again against Diogo Silva, who practically gained 3 positions within 2 corners with that. And it looks like Daniel's actually maybe picked up some damage because he has to back off. Yeah, look at that. He's struggling for grip. He's struggling for downforce, and there goes Fletty trying to use that. But Rodas defends it quite well for now. I really hope that Daniel doesn't have some damage, but it looks like he has. That is very unfortunate through no fault of his own. And what happened to Nico? He's lost a lot of time once again. Only 5/10 now in between Kart Racer and Nico. It used to be a second at the VSC restart. Now it has dropped down to half a second, with Nico being 1.3 behind Daniel. That gap was bigger as well before the VSC came out. But I'm pretty sure that Daniel is still feeling very confident in the lead here. And look at how close Kart Racer is to Nico at the moment. Maybe he's decided to change his approach at this race. Maybe he thinks the best defense is a good attack, and he will be trying to use that sort of idea in order to get past Nico, and with that defend from Francesco. But his exit was not too good. Francesco though can't get close enough due to the fact that both of these guys have got the DRS coming down into turn 1 now. And yeah, no one really able to attack each other. And it looks like Slash has lost some time to Fletty as well. Gap in between Slinky and his teammate Francesco is getting bigger and bigger. Maybe though, Slinky has got some front wing damage as well, as we saw with Daniel, who is now pitted once again. I hope he didn't forget to set his front wing damage to change. Otherwise that would have been very unfortunate. And he has gone onto a fresh set of mediums now. That's his second pit stop within 2 laps. And now Slinky dives into the pit lane, and we're about to find out if he had some front wing damage or if he was just lacking pace. Yes, he had some front wing damage. That explains a lot. Don't know where he picked it up, but it must have been on the opening lap or something, because he lost a lot of time very early on in the race, and that front wing change will cost him quite a lot, because he was in that big train. That's why he probably went for the early pit stop, in order to gain that time back on the fresh mediums that he has got on his car now. And also that penalty, obviously, that he still got in his back pocket. Looks like Francesco's not willing to risk his battery charge anymore. See Links coming out the pit. Oh, and that was close to the rear end of kart racer Rodas. Dives into the pits as well for his first pit stop of the evening. That should have been a scheduled pit stop. And we have a spin. I think that is Lynx. Yes, it is. That's not the first time that I see Lynx spinning at the back of the field. In the meantime, Daniele has opened up that gap massively, up to 2 seconds now, and it looks like he's just controlling the race very comfortably at the minute. Daniel puts in the new fastest lap of the race. That's what he needed. Just to put it into context, Daniel had to pit twice, didn't he? Sorry, I was about to say something with how much time he lost by... Oh no, sorry, I was completely not, I didn't mean Daniel, I meant Slinky. He is behind Rodas, but not too far behind. He's within a second, so with more and more laps, it's more and more likely he's still going to be at the front of that train. His tires will be a lot more worn towards the end. Diogo Silva pits as well, and we've got yellow flags for Lynx once again. Hopefully he won't trigger a safety car. And Diogo Silva leaves the pit lane now. Here comes his teammate Rodas, and it looks like Diogo Silva has managed to open up that gap quite massively. Interesting, 1.2 seconds. And that is not what Slinky needed. It was a good in-lap from Diogo Silva, it looks like. Or he just, you know, used that DRS that he had on that one extra lap that he did for good measure. The gap has already come down now because of the cold tyres, obviously. And now suddenly the gap is back down to half a second. But for the others, they might have to think about making a pit stop sooner rather than later. Nico and Kart Racer both pits. Same with Francesco. Let's see if anything changes in the pits. If any pit crew is able to manage a quicker pit stop than the other. Let's see. Daniel picks up a 3-second time penalty. Won't matter all too much. He's a bit further down by now. Let's see. Kart Racer is still right behind Nico. Provotox flies past now. There goes Nico, Kart Racer and Francesco. All three have pitted now. And I want to see many guys out of that big train have pitted as well. Let's see, where is Fleddy in comparison to Diogo Silva. Diogo Silva will be very close to him, and he might be able to overtake him as well, as the Aston Martin still has very cold tyres, and he should be able to get him just on pure exit grip. and he tries to make him a little bit nervous, and you can see just how much warmer and more gripped in Diogo Silva's tyres are, but he needs to get past now, but it looks like he just couldn't find a way around him. So Fleddy made it work. I'm not quite sure if he was ahead before, but he definitely is now. Daniele pids as well. Obvious response to the three guys behind him pitting. Just one lap earlier. And it looks like Fleddy has already brought his tyres into the right temperature window. Let's see how big the gap is going to be in between Daniele and Nico. It looks like it's a lot closer than it was before, because remember, he once again will have cold tyres now. Gap is down to 1.4 and will probably drop even more now in this first sector at least. It is down to 6/10. Half a second just in between Nico and Daniele. He probably should have pitted one lap earlier in order to remain in that comfortable lead. Slinky in the meantime has gone past Rodas, and Rodas is not able to fight back in any way, and Slinky will be happy that he finally got past Rodas, because the Williams driver was the reason why Slinky is in the middle of that train and not at the front of it, due to Rodas outbraking himself coming into turn 2 and hitting the side of the McLaren driver. Oh no, that was Daniel. Sorry Daniel, completely got them mixed up here today, Daniel and Slinky, because both had front wing damage then. And Daniele now has to make a quick overtake on his teammate Provotox, and he does so. Let's see if Nico can slip through as well. Very close, but he might have got it. Is Provotox trying to fight it? Yes, Provotox is trying to hold the inside line coming into turn 2. He tries to brake later, but he just can't, and Nico has slipped through, but that will still help his teammate Daniele, because he's now going to hold up Kart Racer for a bit longer than that. Or is Kart Racer going to go for the inside here? No, he is not. Smart decision most likely, because going side by side through turn 4 is not always the best decision you can make. So many incidents on the F1 games throughout the years. But now Kart Racer will need to get past that almost roadblock as quickly as possible in order to not lose too much time, and he does so into turn 11. Quite an impressive move, and I mean, he was brave, I'll give him that, but it was really risky as well. Can be glad that Provotox was very fair in that situation, and Francesco will probably not take the risk. No, he will take that DRS though. And let's see if Nico is actually close enough to make a move on Daniele, who just set the new fastest lap of the race, which he needs to do now as well in order to break that 1 second window once again. And as soon as he breaks out that 1 second window, he might be able to build up that gap once again. Kart Racer though outside the 1 second window of Nico, which leaves him vulnerable to Francesco, who's right behind him. Fleddy in the meantime comfortably in P5, by the way, 1.5 seconds ahead of Diogo Silva, who is being pressurized slowly but surely by Slinky here. But like I mentioned, overtaking is a whole different story than being quicker than someone else, especially on this track. And it looks like Daniele has been successful, or has he? It's very close for that 1 second DRS window, and Daniele is trying desperately. You can see he's using the overtake button, and it's a very close gap to the DRS window. Is he gonna get it? No, he is not. And I wonder why Nico didn't use his overtake button in order to stay within that 1 second window. Daniele is now out of it, and now suddenly Kart Racer is inside the 1 second of Nico, sorry. And Nico might come under pressure again. Kart Racer hasn't got that much ERS left though. And Francesco's got a lot more, and we saw just how quick he was in that opening stint. And I'm curious to see if it's going to be the same for the second one here. At the moment it looks like it. I mean, only half a second behind. It looks like Daniele is feeling really comfortable, and Daniele will obviously like Francesco to pass Kart Racer in order to gain even more points. He would gain 8 points on his championship rival with that, and with then only 2 rounds left, that would be very crucial. But no matter which way around it is, it's going to be generally a very tough task to manage if he wants to win that championship fight. I mean, it's 23 points in between the two of them. But like I mentioned, if he wins this race and Kart Racer only manages 4th, then suddenly the gap is down to 15 points. And that sounds a lot nicer than 23. But the race is far from over. We've still got 13 laps left on the clock. And I'm keeping an eye on the gaps in between the drivers. Slinky is a bit stuck as Francesco picks up a penalty, which is the worst thing that could have possibly happened now in this situation, because even if he gets past Kart Racer, he'll still need to open up a 3-second gap to him. But maybe now that has set his mindset of maybe just go for it, free a little bit, because it's only 3/10 now. And maybe he'll just try and do whatever he can to get past as quickly as possible. Because then there would still be hope for that 3-second gap. But now the gap is back up to half a second. Is he close enough? Is he using his overtake button? He isn't. Which I don't really understand all too much, because he is closer than he was before. And if he wants that podium, he'll need to push harder. I mean, he's got absolutely no threat from behind, with Fleddy being 13 seconds away. But it looks like he has a different thing in mind. It's a very typical Hungary race. Many drivers that you see are probably quicker than the car ahead, but they just can't fight a way past. Still no battery charge used from Francesco in order to attempt an overtake. Gap in between Nico and Daniele, very comfortable for the race leader in the Alpine. With 11 laps to go, there is not much going on at the moment. Apart from Lynx doing his typical spins. Way behind. And I think he actually has been lapped by Marcel even, who is 18 seconds away from Daniel in P13. Kart race is getting a bit closer now. If an opportunity opens up, he would happily take it, but I kind of doubt he would risk it. For a split second there, I thought that the sparks that were coming off the Ferrari ahead were maybe some little drops of rain, but sadly they weren't. Some rain would spice things up massively now, which would be very much appreciated. But at the moment, doesn't look like there's anything on the way. It has been overcast like this for the entirety of this race, so hopes for some rain are getting more slim. And that was a mistake from Nico through turn 13, and that might have opened up the doors for Kart Racer, who might be trying to go for it now. If he wants P2, he should take this opportunity, but he doesn't. He stays behind. And I think that just summarizes the problems of this game very well. Because in real life, on a track like Hungary, you would absolutely want to be ahead of someone rather than just driving behind. Especially with the components overheating, the tires degrading a lot quicker when you're driving so closely behind another car. And on this game, those things are just completely irrelevant, and the only thing that matters is your battery charge. And the only way you can save that quite easily without losing too much time is sitting behind in the DRS in the slipstream and just comfortably driving your own race behind someone else, and then trying to go for a move on the final lap. And that is one of the big criticisms that I have for this game, because it just does not simulate the spirit of Formula 1 at all. On tracks like Monza, it is realistic, because you might want to stay behind another driver for the DRS as well, but usually on basically every occasion, F1 drivers want to pass the car ahead, just because it completely ruins your tires driving so closely behind another driver. You can even see drivers in real life, if they are not able to pass someone, they're dropping back to maybe 2 to 3 seconds in order to save their tires a little bit and not wear them out all too much. And on this game, it doesn't matter, you can go, I'm pretty sure that Kart Racer and Nico have both got the same tire wear, and that's why overtaking is just not rewarding, because the only thing it does is take you out of the DRS and forcing you to use your battery charge, which you will need for an overtake or to defend. And that is the big criticism, just because it is just not rewarding at all to overtake another car. I can't blame the drivers, because it's the smartest thing to do on this game, but it just annoys me that it is the smartest thing to do in this race, as Daniel might have crashed, and we've got a safety car out on track because Daniel has ended up in the wall at turn 2. And that will be something that Daniele will not like to see. Yeah, I think he's crashed on the inside here. They have gone past the safety car. So they've got an entire lap to catch up to the safety car, which is standing still now on the track in order to wait for our race leader, which is still Daniele. And the question is, will Francesco now go for the softs because I think it would be the smartest thing to do. He wouldn't lose a single position to Fleddy, who can't go full speed, and he's got a 17-second gap. And it would make sense. Daniele Pids. Nico Pids as well. Kart Racer stays out. So we've got 3 people who decided to go for the soft tires for a final 3-lap sprint, most likely. And then we've got Kart Racer, who is in the lead right now. He's got the track position, but he's got the slower and more worn out tires. But he stays out. Slinky Pids as well. He will lose a lot of positions though. Rodas will go past / Pids as well. Povatox Pids. Stefan probably has nothing to lose. He's on a set of softs though. Stefan looked very promising in qualifying, but in the race it has not gone his way. Kart Racer's trying to burn off his addition of fuel that he has got. And we've got a very interesting situation, but I'm gonna use that safety car phase to rest my voice a little bit, to be ready for that final shootout in the last couple of laps. as I am back now. I use that little pause to rest my voice a little bit to be ready for those final 3 laps of racing that we will have now. Car Racer will lead the way on 14 lap old mediums, with 2 charging drivers behind, with Daniele and Nico on fresh softs, Fleddy in P4 on a set of used mediums, Francesco on fresh softs. He has a 3-second time penalty though, but Kart Racer is leading the way on old mediums. Let's see if he can hold off to win this race in Hungary. He's got a good getaway, and he has got a good enough getaway in order to stay ahead coming down into turn 1. Then comes Daniel in front of Nico. Francesco's already past Freddy, which was a very crucial move. Let's see if Slinky is able to go around the outside of Rodas. Those two have come to clash and have been in contact in this race as well already. Slinky has got the move done though, so that was the most important thing. Now he's got the second Williams of Diogo Silva in front of him as well. He's going for the inside and he has passed him, and now it's only Fleddy in between him and his teammate Francesco after that front wing damage that he had on the opening stint, why he had to pit as well, is now back in the fight for a podium, maybe even with his teammate having a 3-second time penalty as well. That will be for position, but he needs a 3-second gap and he needs to go past Fleddy. But now we focus on the race for the lead. As we cross the line, we've got 2 laps left. We'll have 1 lap of DRS action on the final lap, or actually 2 laps, sorry. Lap 34 it will be, no, 35, sorry. 1 lap they will have the DRS. And now it is time for Daniele to make the move to regain that lead that he had for so many laps. Will he able to take the lead on lap 34 back against Car Racer? He has the fresher, the faster tire. He's going for the outside line against his rival, and he's outbraked himself. But can he keep it on track? Yes, he can. But now, in order to stay ahead of the Ferrari, he'll have to defend the inside line against Nico. After he outbraked himself, Nico trying to go for the outside line, but he can't quite make the move done. Or can he? Now he's got the inside line for turn 3, and he has to back out after some contact, after some wheel banging, and that has saved Car Racer from 1 attack already. Daniele outbraked himself, and it has kept Car Racer in the fight. Now he's got to have a little look on the inside here, and Car Racer has got a little bit wide. Maybe, just maybe, Daniele has to go for a move at an unusual position. But at the moment, it looks like Car Racer's saved his battery quite well. He's got more than 50%, and Daniele is all the way down to 40%. He's still using it, and he hasn't got the help of DRS just yet. He won't on the next lap either, because the detection point is right here. So there won't be any help of DRS on that final lap, but he still will have to find a way past to win this race. That race win looked so secure all the way until that safety car came out, but he's just not close enough, and now he has to defend himself against Nico's looking for the outside, but on the inside there is the Alpine who tries to push him out wide a little bit, but for turn 2 maybe he can fight back. No, he can't, but there goes Francesco around the outside. He's got a 3-second time penalty as well though, so it won't matter all too much if he goes past now. But it looks like Car Racer has actually managed to defend himself against the charging soft runner of Daniele. He hasn't played that all too smart. Slight loss of the rear end here from Car Racer. The DRS won't be coming into effect all too much right before the end. Slinky in the meantime has moved up to P5, and at the minute it looks like Car Racer has got it. Daniele is very close to him though, and at some point he will have to try and make a move, but he's just not close enough. He hasn't got enough ERS battery charge to get past, and he goes very wide here on the final lap. It's only 3 corners away from a race win from Car Racer once again to extend his championship lead. Remember, this is P1 and P2 in the championship fight, but it looks like Daniele has spun around. He's pushed it too much, and my controller is disconnected at the worst possible time, but it is going to be Car Racer who wins the race after a spin from Daniele on the final lap. Fleddy takes the podium on time penalties. Nico finishes in P2. Wow. Daniele has not played it all too well at the end. He's had the tyre advantage. He didn't have the DRS, to be fair, but he didn't play it well with the ERS management, and in the end he pushed too much, 2 corners before the finish line. He spins it around, and that is another race win for Kart Racer, who might have actually won the championship with that. Let me quickly recheck that. If I do the maths, he gained 16 points on his championship rival. There's 32 points still up for grabs. It is 39 points in between him and Daniele now. Don't know where Daniel has also finished outside the point, and I think, yes, I think that is the championship secured for Kart Racer with that. With that spin from Daniele, the championship has been decided. Because Ruti has DNF'd, and everyone else behind was more than 32 points behind him. And with now 2 rounds to go, Kart Racer has decided the championship by staying out on old tyres, managing his ERS very well, and Daniele spinning on the final lap in the penultimate corner. He spun and crashed, and with that, all his championship hopes as well. So big congratulations to Kart Racer for not only winning the Hungarian Grand Prix, but also winning the PSGL F4 Championship in season 33. Nico takes second place here today ahead of Fleddy, who also opted to stay out on the used mediums and got it on time penalties from both McLarens then in the end. And that was it. Quite a spectacular end to this race, but not too much action going on before. But you saw even after the safety car came in with the big tyre difference, it was very difficult to pass each other, but that is just the nature of Hungary. And I hope you all enjoyed the stream, and make sure to tune in next week once again, Monday 7 p.m. UK time. Make sure to check out the other streams that are live right now as well. And with that being said, goodbye and take care.